I'd also like to thank the panelists today. It's not always an easy job for me to get people to be on my webinars. So thank you very much to our panelists. Today, we will have a short presentation from Zoe Fraser, who is Appointedd's Partnership Director. She's going to tell us a bit about the history of our partnership with Rotageek. And then Jason's joined us from Rotageek. He is the VP of Solution Consulting and Partnerships at Rotageek and will be giving us a demo of Rotageek's software. And then we will hear from Alice Beebe, who is our client director, and she'll be sharing a kind of an example customer journey. And it kind of shows both how our partnership impacts a customer journey as well as the colleague experience. So without further ado, I will pass over to Ms. Zoe Fraser.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. And yes, hello everyone. Thank you all so much for joining. It's great to be here today and to be joining forces with the amazing team at Rotageek. As Sabrina said, my name is Zoe. I'm the Partnerships Director here at Appointed, and I oversee all our partner relationships and integrations. So I'm just going to share my screen with you and take you through a brief presentation. Great, so just to begin by giving a bit of an overview of Appointed, Rotageek and our partnership. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Appointed, we are an online scheduling platform created in 2011 by our CEO, Leah Hutchin. We are a small but exceedingly mighty team. Our mission is really to make anything or anyone bookable in as little as 2 taps. We currently power bookings in around 167 countries. And support some amazing organizations like Charlotte Tilbury, Marks and Spencer's, and Victoria's Secret. We are, of course, partnering up with Rotageek, who are a leading scheduling and workforce optimization company that really focuses on simplifying the building of compliant and fair schedules, while also making sure employees have a great experience. Rotageek also have some incredible brands on their book as well: Charlotte Tilbury, Sephora, and Cafe Nero, just to name a few. So Rotageek and Appointed have a bit of history. We have for quite some time wanted to get this partnership live. So it's been fantastic to sort of formalize our agreement and put plans in place for the long term over the last few months. The conversations between our organizations actually originated from a joint client within the luxury beauty space who essentially wanted to have their beauty artist rotas within Rotageek reflected in the service availability of Appointed. So this partnership is really exciting for us because Rotageek is our first and only partner that specializes in workforce management. And we're really joining forces here to provide a best of breed joint solution that is directly solving client problems and driving efficiencies across the board for these brands we're servicing. On a large scale, we're totally removing the headache that manual scheduling and bookings present. And we're so excited to be working on an integration with Rotageek that will give brands access to a totally seamless solution that will, of course, allow the simple management of employees and the services that they are made bookable for. So in terms of how the integration will look and perform, this is still to an extent being defined, and we will likely have a version 1 launch and a version 2 launch. What we are planning for a version 1 launch is to allow the employee schedules, alongside any changes that might occur with that within that schedule from Rotageek, pool through to the Appointed solution and determine the booking availability for a particular resource or service which a customer can then book onto. What we're also exploring is how we can ensure bookings made well in advance from within Appointed can then in turn inform employee demand from within Rotageek as well. So Rotageek's auto scheduling tool is just one of the many incredible features that the solution presents. And this essentially allows brands to create fair, compliant employee schedules in just 2 clicks. So the expectation that this will then update availability from within Appointed is going to be transformative for managers and employees who are currently dealing with all these changes and updates manually. So what are we trying to solve in doing all this? So Our mission here is really to support brands in improving overall customer experience, maximizing in-store and online revenue, and ultimately responding to customer demand in the most efficient way possible. When it comes to customer demand, we all know this isn't consistent. It differs massively day to day, depending on the day of the week, time of the year. There's so many external factors that impact this, and with Rotageek's forecasting of sales and footfall, brands are able to ensure that resources within Appointedd are being utilized in the most productive way. Appointedd's resource capacity and utilization tool also allows brands to review capacity and utilization across resources for a whole week or month, so we can see how much employee time is being spent on bookings versus other requirements and responsibilities. So this really allows us to sort of gain some control over demand. The data highlights when customers actually want to book, when peak times are, and we can make sure our scheduling reflects that. Rotageek actually sees that when brands optimize schedules to customer demand, as well as staff preferences, they actually increase overall conversion, basket size, as well as customer and employee NPS. So as a joint solution, we're not only sort of optimizing back office operations, but we're also driving revenue and conversions in what we're delivering. And moving on finally, and most importantly, I guess, to why Appointedd and Rotageek. So naturally, before jumping into this partnership, we scoured the market for a solution that could offer the same level of service and booking functionality, as well as the management of such complex employee schedules. And there isn't one, in our opinion, that comes close to what we're able to offer, or what our joint solutions have the potential to offer. Our integration will remove admin from store management, improve the accuracy of availability, and ensure that revenue from appointments is really maximized. As a joint solution, we're also delivering a much quicker time to value for our clients. In comparison to the majority of enterprise level booking solutions on the market, Appointedd is able to offer the same level of customization, but deliver results and get a brand up and running much quicker. And similarly for Rotageek, implementation time for the team is much shorter in comparison to the majority of tools on the market. So we're able to get brands to a place where they're seeing ROI when competitors implementing a similar solution are not yet live. So hopefully that gives you all a bit of background to our partnership and plans for the future. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I will pass over to Jason. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zoe. I always think it's so interesting to see like all the thought and work that goes into the background of these partnerships. Here is a small gentle reminder if anybody has any questions to put those in the Q&A. But yeah, now we'll pass over to Jason, who's going to show us a little more about Rotageek and what it does and offers as a software.
Amazing. Thank you, Zoe, and thank you, Sabrina. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so I'm a firm believer of seeing is believing. So I like to just jump into the actual solution and show everyone exactly how Rotageek works in a real live environment. So we're going to start by creating a brand new schedule for our beauty store and show you guys really how effortless it is with Rotageek. So the first thing I wanted to highlight was our forecasting module. So we'll process any kind of historical sales, transaction, footfall data, and we'll create a labor demand profile for each task within a store to the quarter hour granularity. So in our example store here, we have Oxford Street. And we have demand profiles for multiple different tasks within this store. So first one, management coverage. Obviously, you need to have a person with a set of keys in the building from the time you open to the time you close. But we also have a fragrance counter in the store. We have a makeup counter. We want to set aside time for clienteling to our VIPs. And we also want to set aside time dedicated to one-on-one consultations that will be made available through Appointedd. And that's what's visualized here on this graph, right? So we're going to have our demand for each of these activities down to the quarter hour granularity. So in order to create a perfectly optimized schedule as the store manager of Oxford Street, there's really only one thing I need to do. And there's this blue auto schedule button in the upper right-hand corner. And when I click on that, It's just going to ask me a couple things. One, to just confirm that I want to build it for my store, Oxford Street. It's going to confirm the date range that I want to build it for. So I'm going to build it for this week in June. And if you want to include or exclude any employees from this build, and just revalidate the budget that I'm going to be working to. And you just have to click run. And now it's doing all the magic behind the scenes. So what the auto scheduling algorithm's doing is it's creating millions of possible schedules and giving each of those possible schedules a score. And the score of each of these possible potential schedules is based on really what's important to each of our clients. So it might be labor laws such as working time directive and break requirements. It might be my company policies such as weekend fairness. You know, how many weekends do I get off over a certain period? Also my particular labor budget, what skills each of my employee has. And it can also take into account employees' preferences to really maximize not only performance in store, but give them a good work-life balance. So we kind of play both sides of the fence. We want to make a great schedule for you as a business, but also a great schedule for you as an employee. And so what's presented to the manager is really only the best schedule of all the possible schedules that are out there in the world. So in less than a minute, we created a perfect schedule that's compliant with all the rules, that's fair based on all of my fairness principles, and also has scheduled the right number of employees throughout each day to deliver exceptional customer service to anybody who walks through my door. And all I have to do is click on approve in the upper right-hand corner. And just by doing that, I've now notified my entire team that their schedule is made available for week commencing the 19th of June. So now they're going to be able to log into the Rotageek mobile app and view their own schedule. They will be able to see who they're working with, be able to swap shifts amongst each other, request annual leave, and a lot of other functions as well. And now with our integration with Appointedd, your entire team schedule is going to be updated immediately in Appointedd to make resources available within the Appointedd solution. So now customers will be able to book resources and really optimize your booking potential in the store. So thanks for everyone's time and attention. And I'm going to hand it back over to Sabrina and Alice to walk you through.
Thank you. I love always getting to see actually in the software itself. It just lets you understand that a little bit better. Alice, on the other hand, is going to walk us through what that would mean kind of in practical terms for somebody using the partnership. So I'll hand it over to Alice.
Thank you so much. So Jason's talked through, as we talked about, the simple and very compliant and fair rota scheduling. And so what I really wanted to show you then is how this loops into Appointedd to make a really seamless customer and colleague experience. So I'd love for you to meet Lucy. Lucy is a customer and she is in the market for a new foundation. So she heads over to her favorite beauty brand's website. From there, she sees that she's able to make an appointment to speak to an expert. And so she picks her service that she wants to have. And then following the service selection, she's then able to pick a particular consultant that she wants to have her appointment with. Now, she quite likes the look of Jane. She is a foundation color expert. So Lucy continues through the booking flow. She picks a date and time of her appointment. She gets her confirmation and she's one very happy customer. So that's a very smooth journey that's happening for the customer. They don't really know anything else that's happening. We always want to make it as bookable and easy in as little as 2 taps. But now to show you how this then works for Jane. So Jane is our foundation match expert. She's the one that Lucy has booked her appointment with. And because of the integration that Appointedd and Rotageek have, now that Jane has seen this appointment that comes in for Lucy, there are so many things that Jane doesn't need to do because of our seamless integration. So what Jane doesn't have to do is she doesn't have to go into her calendar to make sure that she is working that day that Lucy's appointments come in for. She doesn't need to go and send a confirmation or a reminder email to the customer to make sure that they show up for their appointment. And she doesn't need to spend any time sending a follow-up email after the appointment, encouraging Lucy to come back in for another appointment, or asking for any feedback, because all of this can be done straight away through Appointedd in automated and branded comms. And just to show a very quick screenshot of how this is how Jane's calendar looks within Appointedd. So you can see that she's got all her bookings in, but it's also populated the hours that she's working, and she's been able to pop in some breaks there as well. So We want this so that you're only doing it in one place, but it's being able to reflect it in lots of other places. And again, really making that seamless experience for your customers. So yeah, hopefully this all made perfect sense of how simple it really is. But I will hand back over to Sabrina.
Excellent. Thank you all very much for your presentations. Last final push for any questions before we really get into it. We've got a few here. I'm going to start kind of with an easy one, I think, which is just a question about what industries we work in. So we've been talking about retail. We've used a retail example. Are there any other industries? I don't know if Alice, you want to answer, and then pass over to Jason, because I think there might be some overlap and then some difference as well.
Yeah, of course. So we do predominantly focus in retail. That's where the majority of our organizations are that we work with, but we do actually work across a range of industries. So also including professional, financial services, as well as in healthcare. So it's really, really broad. And yeah, Jason, I'll hand over to you of kind of, yeah, where we can see that crossover.
Yeah, and from the Rotageek side, it's quite similar. So we specialize in retail and hospitality. We also do some stuff in leisure and entertainment. And we also work in the healthcare sector as well.
Lovely. Now, the last three questions I have all kind of in my mind relate to each other a bit. So does Appointedd have any way to view the usage / capacity of consultants, or what we sometimes refer to as resources, in its platform? And so the second question kind of goes with this, which is, as a manager, can I see the Appointedd demand in the schedule builder? So it feeds one way, but does it feed the other way, I think is kind of the question there.
Yeah, so I'm happy to take the first one. So yes, so in terms of viewing the capacity and use of its consultants, so this is actually a very new feature we've just released at Appointedd, which is called resource utilization. So this is looking at the number of bookings or time spent that any employees are on a particular day on services, so that you can see if it's low usage or actually it's quite high. Do you need to bring in any other members of staff? So that's all. We've just released that and Appointedd, I think it was just a few weeks ago, so it's been great to kind of see that. And then I'll hand over to Jason for the second part of the question, because I think that's about how that would feed into Appointedd.
Yeah, thanks. So Zoe touched on this a little bit. So we're taking the integration from a two-phased approach. So our first phase will be to feed the schedule or the roster into the Appointedd tool to make those proper resources available for booking to end customers. And then the second phase of the integration will be to feed back those future bookings. So a great example is if you're planning your wedding and it's in a year's time, you probably don't have your schedule created for a year's time from now. And so that will feed into Rotageek to inform your future demand, so that when you're building your schedule for that time in any years from now, it will know that you have maybe 6 beauty consultations for this wedding, and so that will be informed into your demand. So it's kind of a two-step process for us. That's really good.
Yeah, I think that also kind of answers this last question we have, which was, do the bookings push into a deployment plan for other task-based daily scheduling for the store team? Which I think I kind of read as, are those bookings, yeah, feeding back into Rotageek and kind of equating for the demand based on what the utilization is in Appointedd. Yeah, excellent. Any last questions from anyone as I'm about to do my wrap-up session? You can get them in there really quick before I'm done talking, but otherwise, thank you all so much for all of your insights and information. As I said at the beginning of this webinar, it was recorded, it will go on YouTube, it will be emailed to you. Please do share it with any colleagues you think might be interested. If you have any questions, further questions about the partnership, maybe they're still sitting in your brain and you'll think of them 3 hours from now, which seemingly is always what happens to me. Please do reach out to us. We have a number of ways you can contact us. You can email me at sabrina@appointedd.com, or pretty much anyone on the staff at just our first name at appointedd.com. We would be happy to answer any questions that you have. So yeah, thank you all so much. And I hope to see you at our next webinar as well.